2019. I'm Christina from we.CONECT, and I'm here with Cyriel Diels from the Coventry University. Welcome to the conference, and
thank you
so much for your time to participate in the interview. As a start, could you just briefly introduce yourself and give us a few more insights into your professional background?
Yeah, so my background is in human factors and psychology, and I'm interested in the interaction between the vehicle and the driver or the occupant. What I'm particularly interested in is actually the future of vehicle design and the future interactions, looking at level 4, level 5, so highly and fully automated vehicles, where in essence we become a passenger in the vehicle, and that's completely going to change the way we have to design and think about the interactions in the vehicle. Today it's been very much focused on the driver, so the whole vehicle is focused around the driver, whereas now we have to recalibrate in a sense and take into account what it actually means to be a passenger in a vehicle. And from a human factors point of view, there's a lot of differences in the way we have to design for the passenger experience as opposed to the driver experience, and that's one of the main topics of my research.
You'll also be presenting a case study later on this afternoon on information expectations of highly and fully automated vehicles. Share a few insights about how you're going to present.
So basically the assumption here and the underlying theme of this is that the comfort experience in the future is going to be very different. And so we have to think about how we design for that, how we accommodate for that. And there's a few reasons why the future is going to be very different. So if we see a future of automated vehicles, there's going to be changes in the way we interact with the environment compared to current situation. So one of the differences, of course, is that we are no longer in control of the vehicle. So there's a psychological effect of loss of control. I'll also be talking about the impact of that on how we might experience motion sickness in these future vehicles because of this loss of control. There's some other elements, for example, the fact that we have coexistence, so we have current manually driven vehicles driven next to automated vehicles. So that creates all sorts of problems in terms of the crashworthiness of vehicles, which in turn has implications for what we can actually design in terms of the HMI. So we're still very much constrained by these sort of safety considerations, which makes it then especially difficult to actually design an HMI that's acceptable and usable for the user. So those are a couple of things that have an impact on the comfort experience. One of the very important things is actually the sense of trust in these vehicles. And so what this research is looking into is to what people actually expect from these vehicles in terms of trust. So we've been looking at different scenarios, and we're trying to understand if these scenarios happen, what sort of information do people expect to see, where do they expect to see it, when do they expect to see it, and how do we best design around that.
You mentioned earlier on that obviously the driver at the moment is in full control of the car.
Yeah.
And going to a high level of automation is actually results in a loss of control, and also might run the risk of, not being able to accept that actually, having not actually trusting the system. How can these challenges be overcome? How can drivers be convinced and fully trust those new scenarios?
Yeah, that's a little bit the multi-million-dollar question. But I think what's very important is to understand the latent needs of people and also understand their concerns. So that's where human factors comes in, where we're trying to understand what are the underlying considerations for people to using these vehicles. So providing information via the HMI is certainly going to be one of the aspects that will have a big benefit in terms of creating this acceptance, but also trust in the system. Performance is another thing, and at the moment there's very few people who have experience with these sort of systems, which means that trust levels are very difficult to actually predict. But once people actually start using these systems, we might find that trust actually develops quite quickly. We will see.
Yeah. And if we look at HMI developments from like a larger perspective, what do you think are the main factors at the moment that actually influence those developments?
I think the main aspect is the multimodal interface design, where we no longer look at sort of different types of interface, but we much more look at it from a holistic perspective. And I think again this is driven by the concept of automation in the future, where we look at the passenger experience, where the overall holistic experience is going to be much more important. And how we design that, we might also find that sort of triggering down to non-automated vehicles as well, by focusing on this much richer experience that we expect to have in the future of automated vehicles.
And apart from your case study you'll be presenting later on this afternoon, what else has brought you here? What are your expectations towards this conference?
This is my second car HMI. I've been to the car HMI before in Berlin, and I think it's an excellent opportunity to speak to a wide variety of different people from industry, from academia, and particularly the coffee breaks are very informative and useful.
Mm-hmm. Oh, great. Thank you so much for sharing your insights. It is much appreciated.
You're welcome.